I'm Fran. Welcome to Calm Clay, first in a series of exercises that I've developed for the Canberra Potters. The aim of this exercise is to develop a sense of calm. It's about the process rather than the outcome, and although you will learn a bit about clay and you will learn how to make something, in the end it's not going to be fired, so it won't be kept, and you don't need to have any attachment to whether it's good enough or not good enough, because this is not about that. This is about the process of the making. So I'll explain a little bit more about that as we work. So firstly, I think it's important to sit comfortably, somewhere where you won't be disturbed for about 20 or 30 minutes. And then start by taking your clay and cutting a lump of clay with your cutting wire, whether that's a piece of fishing line or just a bit of fine wire, picture wire perhaps, anything like that will do. And you just cut through the clay like that to break off a piece about that big. So something that will sit comfortably in the palm of your hand. And at the moment that's a knobbly lump of clay. So the first thing we need to do is turn that into a ball that we can work with. And the way that you do that is you just, as the bits that are sticking out, you just take the flat part of your hand and you gently pat it into shape. You're basically pushing the clay into itself, and I'm holding it in this hand and patting those lumps that are sticking out, and then turning in my hand so I can do that all the way around. Just work slowly, gently, you don't have to rush. We've got plenty of time, and that's the whole point of this exercise, is taking your time and feeling really present in what you're doing and paying attention to what you're doing. And when you see lines like this, just smooth them over, move the clay from one side to the other, smooth over those lumps and bumps, and gradually you can see it's starting to take shape. So just keep working in that way, and as we go, I'll talk a little bit more about mindfulness, which is what this is all about. So you might have heard about mindfulness. It's like a buzzword that's around a lot of things at the moment. Seems like it's the latest thing, but actually it's a really ancient thing that's been around for a long time, and it comes out of various meditation traditions. And in essence, what it is about is just being present and being focused and paying attention to what you're doing. And when you are approaching the thing that you do in that way, it allows your mind to stop chattering. Because if you've ever tried to learn meditation, it looks like you're not doing anything. It looks really easy, doesn't it? But it's not. It's really hard. Because the thing is that this needs to stop the chattering in the mind, and that's very difficult for many, many of us. So if we kind of trick our minds into paying attention to one thing, the thing that we're doing, whether it's making a pot or knitting or just on your breath, then it sort of just, everything else just falls away, and eventually you'll settle into a state of calmness and you'll feel more grounded and hopefully less stressed with time. And let's face it, it's been a stressful time for lots of people, but life is always stressful inherently. There are things that happen, and so it's really valuable and important to get tools like this in your kit that can help you sort of deal with that, manage it. So there's our ball. Once you've got to that stage, you'll hold the ball in the palm of one hand, your less dominant hand. So I'm a right-hander, so I'll hold it in my left hand. And then I'll take my thumb and I'll just sort of hook my fingers under there to get some purchase, and I'll squeeze my thumb into that ball, just like so. Not all the way through, but quite deeply into that ball. And what we're making here, I should add, is called a pinch pot. And it's called that because the method of making is of this pinching motion. We just kind of get our hand into that shape and we pinch out the clay. So you'll go back into the ball with your thumb, and with your other fingers on the outside, just squeeze, hopefully you can see that, squeeze and gently turn the pot in your hand. Well, it's a ball really still. Turn it so that you squeeze the different sections of the clay. And as you go, you're making something that's starting to get bigger and walls that are starting to get thinner. And now you can see I've been right the way round, and you can see what's happening. It's going to start to turn into a little pot shape. So I'm just going to keep going like that. And while you're working, the thing is to just focus in on what you're doing. You can shut your eyes if that is easier, because sometimes it's distracting what you can see, and just feel what your hand is feeling. Be really aware of the temperature of the clay, the texture of it, whether it's damp or moist or dry. This is quite sticky still. And feel, if you can, with the sensitivity of your fingertips, almost feel the thickness in the walls of the pot as you go. Once you've been around a couple of times, just stop, have a look, assess it. Feel it in your hands, feel the weight of it. You can sort of tell where it's thicker and where it's thinner by doing that, and I can feel there's still weight a lot in the bottom, and I'll sort of move to the base of that pot and try and squeeze that section a bit thinner, so that I'm getting my walls more even. This is a really ancient making method too. It's from prehistoric times, so humans have been making pinch pots forever, and it's quite a lovely thing to think about while you're doing this exercise as well, because it really connects you to our history and to something bigger than what's going on here today. So just keep working and keep focusing on what you're doing. And have a look again. You can see the finger marks. You can see where it's starting to crack. As I work the clay, it dries out. So that's an interesting thing to notice too. And you can just smooth those cracks over if you like. Or you can leave them. Doesn't really matter. So just focusing on your making, on this texture, the sensation, as you continue to work around the pot. And soon you'll start to see it takes shape, and it's gotten bigger and bigger. Have a look at the inside as well as the outside. You might want to smooth that over, or just notice what's going on in there. I can see my finger marks and the impression of the lines from my hand. It really shows up. It's quite interesting. You'll get to a point where the clay starts to behave a little bit differently as this gets bigger and bigger and thinner. The walls just start to feel like they're getting a bit floppy. So just stop and feel that. It's still holding its shape, but it is starting to get floppy. And maybe that's when it's finished. Maybe that's when you'd stop. Or maybe you want to take it a bit further and see how thin you can get that pot before that starts to happen. Just listen to what the clay's telling you. So when you're finished, just stop and have a look at what you've done. The shape of it, the weight of it, the texture. Take a deep breath. And now the rest is up to you. You can decide if you want to scrunch this up and do this exercise again tomorrow, or if you'd like to put it aside and let it dry out like I've done over here with these others. Maybe you take a lump of clay every day for the next week and make a pinch pot in the same way. And then you have a number of pinch pots which you can choose what to do with. It might be an installation that you keep in your house to remind you just to stop and breathe every now and then, as you can look at that and it takes you back to that calm place. And maybe when you're ready, you could pop them in the garden and just let them disintegrate back into nature. Watch them dissolve with the rain or break apart, crack and break apart. Look at them every day and observe that process of just watching something dissolve and letting go.